Good morning again. It's 9:33, and it is the 4th day of the 4th month, the 4th of April, in the year 2023. Another adventurous year after the one that we didn't think could any worse than 2022. There we are. Our memories are short. But I could tell you that it is now 5 degrees outside, mostly sunny. And indeed, the high street in Lewis is bathed in sunshine. And that's where this broadcast is coming from, the White Hart Hotel, right bang smack on the centre of the high street in Lewis, East Sussex, and opposite to the Crown Court. Crown Court is where things go on. Well, we had a review of the news headlines, and what a pity we were getting such a good picture in the first half hour, and now it's all gone squirrely again. It is really distressing that this happens, and I have no idea why. Is 1 minute it's okay, and the next it's not. And we just do have this constant fight to find out what's going on. We do the best that we can do, and it's. I have no idea why we've got this this coming up the way that it is. I didn't actually call up those policemen. Oh dear. In fact, I don't think that I'm looking at the live version of what we're doing at the moment at all. That is our problem of not understanding the technology quite properly. I have no idea why. None whatsoever. And I'm not going to spoil what we've got to say by farting around with it, trying hard to see what we should be seeing and what we're not seeing. So let's dump that for a moment. And I hear the sound of the beer being poured. Oh, it's Tuesday morning. But it's not Kevin, it's his grandson, who is actually looking after the taps this morning. And I'm sure that he has got a very good taste that his grandfather has got, and is ready to make sure that the beer is of superb quality to anybody who comes to the White Hart to drink it. Hey, right. So what are we going to do now? Well, we're going to look to see what we have that may be of interest. I think I noticed something about the racecourse here, and it would be a good idea, I think, to show a program on the racecourse, because they had a meeting on Saturday to which I had been invited, and at the last minute, unfortunately, wasn't able to take advantage of. But there you are. These things happen from time to time. And but here is one thing that I would like to kick off with, because this is something that I'm really pushing hard at the moment. I really am. Good morning. This is Mirador Television, and this is totally unscheduled. Behind this picture of Parkinson's disease is me. And what's more, I've got Parkinson's. Oh, yes, I have. And that's why I thought I was just pottering around this morning. And if you try to see me picking something up, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I have to flip it against the wall so that I can get some leverage. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's my computer, whether it's a pin, whether it's a pen, or whether it's a £5 note. That's a rarity in itself. But I just wanted to have a quick word to make an appeal on behalf of Parkinson's and Parkinson's sufferers. I don't want you to send me any money or this station any money. We're very bad at handling money. We get ourselves into all sorts of trouble trying to handle money. But please send some donations to Parkinson's, because it is the forgotten. It is the forgotten disease, and it's debilitating, and it's frightening, and it's scary. A lot of famous people have had it. Billy Graham, Michael J. Fox, Muhammad Ali, the Big In, whose name I remembered a moment ago and I've forgotten now. That's a sign of Parkinson's. You start to get a little bit of dementia. Not a great deal, but some. But Neil Diamond. There are lots of famous people who have Parkinson's, and I know a few who fight it. That's the point. It's really a positive way of thinking. I am very positive. It ain't going to get me. I've had it for almost 10 years now. And yes, I'm worse now 10 years later than I was 10 years ago. But I'm still not as bad as everybody thought I would be. Yeah, I shuffle. I have difficulty walking. I don't have difficulty holding a glass of wine or a pint, I'll tell you that. But basically, I look at it in a very positive way, because each morning when I take a pill, which I have to take, I say to Parkinson's, bugger off. Just get away from me. Go away. And it does for a day. I'm able to function almost normally. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm 83. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I've got Parkinson's. I get myself ready. Off I go. And I start a television. Well, I start preparing a television thing at about 7:15. Sorry. Yeah, I get up at 5:15. At 7:15 in the morning at the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, and then at 8:30 I go on the air. Okay, it's only on the internet, it's only on broadband, it's only on social media, but nonetheless it gets to enough people to count. And I run a television operation, a television channel. And I often say, come on, get behind Parkinson's. This one is specific. Get behind Parkinson's. That's what I'm saying to you. Get behind Parkinson's. Let's see if we can. There. Right. That's what's happening to the inside of the body. Even though on the outside it doesn't look too bad. At least for some. Some people shake. Some people have difficulty lifting their feet. Some people have all sorts of manifestations of Parkinson's. But basically, I tell it to bugger off. And then I spend 3 hours in front of the camera each morning, steering through all sorts of people with all sorts of interesting things. For what? 3,000 people? Only probably about 50 watching at any given time. But does it matter? No, it does not, because I believe passionately in what I do. And in believing passionately what I do, I'm able to shut off the fact that I've got Parkinson's. So please, what I'm saying to you is, there's no formal appeal. They don't even know I'm doing it. Please send money to Parkinson's. Yeah, you can send £3 to a puppy, or you can see £3 to a lion, or you can see £3 to a child in distress, and all those things are very worthy. But Parkinson's does tend to hit you later in life, and it's just oldies that get forgotten a lot of the time. Well, we ain't forgotten. We have a voice, and we make it heard every day, and I make it heard to Parkinson's. Bugger off, I tell it. And it helps. I don't know that it buggers off totally. No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. I've still got it. But I do I do take a positive attitude towards it, and I would ask you to take a positive attitude towards it. Just send them a few bob. That's all. That's all, just to help the research. This one I saw where if I started to do Irish jigs, it would help. Well, if that's the sort of research that's being done, God bless it. Why not? Let's try an Irish jig. Not right now. It's breakfast time. Anyway, this is Key Hayes of Mirador Television saying to you, please, 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 will you consider giving some cash to Parkinson's? Give it a go. It's a disease that is forgotten largely in the welter of publicity that you can get about all the diseases that hit people. But some famous people have had it, and some famous people have fought it to the bitter end. I'm going to fight it to the bitter end. Have I got another week? Have I got another day? Have I got another year? Have I got another decade? Oh, God help everybody if I have. But I'm going to fight it. For as long as I've got left, I'm going to fight it. Why don't you help me? Run alongside me, right? Give it a little bit of something. Even if you just wake up in the morning and tell Parkinson's to bugger off. I would urge you, don't forget it. That's the main thing. Toodle pip. Oh, there you are. That's our appeal. That is our charity now. We also still lend support to Action Cancer. I think cancer research that we support through the paintings of a local lady, and we would not withdraw that support at all. But we've added Parkinson's because it's close to my heart. I'd love to see some advances in research, and it helped me feel very much at home. I like to think that somebody somewhere is doing something. And of course, there are a lot of hard-working people in Parkinson's. But what we're really looking for, I suppose, is God bless him. Right, he's trained you extremely well. Right, here we are. Your name again?
Ollie.
Ollie. That's right, Ollie. And Grandpa is watching through the window with his thumbs up in the air. You've done a great job. Well done, Ollie. This is a tradition on a Tuesday morning. I was going to say Sunday morning. On a Tuesday morning is that we test the beer for the White Hart, right? And why not? It's not such a bad thing to do at 9:46, 9:45. Oh, you're terribly efficient, Ollie. You got it here much sooner than your grandpa did. Yes, sir. Oh gosh, this is the perk, right? I don't get all the House of Commons perks. I get the chance to taste the beer at 9:45 in the morning. No pub is open yet. Oh, that one's okay. He's done a lovely job of pulling that one. Oh no, let's try this one. Yes, I think it deserves a second sip. Yes, very nice, very nice. Oh, that one's got the tongue going. That one has got the tongue going. Right now, let's see what we can find if we can find anything at all. Now, we did actually find a nice series of programs The trouble is that it is embedded, and I can't do anything about it until after the election, May the 4th, is that it has a candidate in it, and we are not supposed to show favouritism, and even we would show favouritism because we favour this candidate, and it's considered it gives him an advantage which shouldn't actually. He shouldn't have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch venues. I'm going to take us to British Columbia, and in 1960, which is a long time ago, even for me, as I turned up in British Columbia. And my very first summer from university, I got a job on the Trans-Canada Highway as a labourer. I took a shovel and I took a pile of dirt and I took dirt from there and put it there. It was not a very glorious job, but nonetheless, it was okay. And interesting people go by the front window. And here is just a couple of reminiscences. So I've seen it before, but we don't play it terribly often. Well, let's go to British Columbia.
When I set off for Canada. It was a long way to go. It goes on 5,000 to 6,000 miles, all on my own, and a real adventure. And the first year was pretty good. I spent the 2 semesters as required at the university, and then I got a job for the summer. And I went out into the Rocky Mountains between 2 small communities, at least in those days they were small communities, called Revelstoke and Golden. Wild, it was wild. And my job was to help build the Trans-Canada Highway between those 2 points, because there was no road there. The only way in was by rail, a train that had been built many, many years, almost a century before. Well, not the train itself, but the tracks. I remember on that first journey, getting off the train at a place called Stony Creek. I thought I was at the ends of the earth. It was raining. There was mud and streams flowing down the mountainside. There was nobody there. And there I stood beside the track, watching my safe train, which only came once a week, disappear into the mountainside. You've no idea how you feel at that first few days. But it was very fortuitous, because I learned a number of things in that space of 2 or 3 months that I worked in the Rocky Mountains. I still got an English haircut. On the odd occasion, I wore my school blazer with the mitre on. English, I was English in a Canadian setting. And boy, didn't they know it. And I would go into the bunkhouse, and on one occasion, I reached the gravy, and because the chap had a very heavy accent who was sitting opposite to me and said, "That's not gravy," I didn't understand. So I smiled at him and poured the gravy all over this wonderful meal, to find out it was chocolate sauce. Chocolate sauce sitting on the table. In fact, potato and meat in front of him. Oh, that was neat. And the same chap said a little later, he said to one of his companions, "You sure can tell that young fellow is English, can't you?" And I thought, "Well, yeah, I suppose you can." And he said, "Why do you say that?" Because he eats his pie with a spoon. Canadians always eat with a fork. What a giveaway. Athletic prowess really came out because I broke the half-mile record and the high jump record within minutes of each other. And I also, not sure it was a record, but did pretty well in the weightlifting department. That was a few days later. But first of all, it was the half-mile record. When you go to work in these camps, there's not much to do. You work, you sleep, you eat, and after a month or two, you get out and you pick up your check. Very nice it is too. But on a Sunday, no television, no limited books, no newspapers. They would probably come midweek. So you just hung around and it was very boring. Understanding that and needing work done, the camp bosses would say, would you like to earn some more money? As a university student, wow, would I like to earn some more money? And you got time and a half for working on a Sunday. It's rather nice. So this particular Sunday, I was deputed to go up the mountainside and to start digging little potholes to see whether we could hit gravel, stones that they could use to lay on the bed of the road which we were building. So off I trotted, hey-ho, shovel slung over my shoulder, clambered up the mountainside, found a suitable place to start to dig holes, and started to dig away. After a little while, I heard some stones being loosened up on the railway track. I paid no attention at all, because there was a railway gang that lived, yes, they stayed up in a little hut on the railway site. And they, like us, had nothing to do on a Sunday, so they would earn some extra money going out, testing the track, and that sort of thing. That's who I thought it was. I continued to merrily dig away at my hole, hoping that I would hit gravel pretty soon. It was back-breaking work. And then I looked up to see a huge grizzly bear coming down the mountainside, his beady eyes fixed on me. I hadn't had lunch yet. He was determined to have his lunch, and I was it. I threw the spade down, and I took off down the mountainside. I was dressed in work clothes. I had big work boots on. They came way up past my ankles. They got thick soles. They were leather. They were toe-capped with hard stuff, so that if you dropped anything on them, you wouldn't crush your feet. And I took off down the mountainside at a great rate of knots. The spring runoff was still there. Water was still cascading down the mountain. So the mud must have been good 2 or 3 feet deep at some stages. I managed to avoid disappearing into the mud altogether. But at the side of the track, down the mountain I went, lickety-split, determined that this grizzly was not going to have me for lunch that particular day. I came around a bend in the track, and there was a D9 Caterpillar tractor. Now, if you've never been on a construction site and you've never seen a D9 Caterpillar tractor, they are huge. They are huge. And they stand about a story and a half. So if you look at a small house and try to guess that you're looking at just below the bedroom window, that's about the height, 7, 8 feet. The driver said that I did not touch his vehicle. I did not touch the bulldozer. In leaping into the seat beside him and clutching him, trembling with fear that this grizzly was going to come around and find that the D9 Caterpillar tractor was no obstacle whatsoever, and he would have double lunch. He'd have both of us. The old Caterpillar driver, the tractor driver, of course, had been around for a long time, and he was killing himself with laughter that I'd come down the mountainside at such a rate But he swore that I did not touch his vehicle, that I leapt from the ground and I got into the seat beside him. So I'd done 7 feet. And even in those days, the high jump record was only about 6 feet something. So there I had set one record. But I previously set the record for the half mile because it had been about half a mile that I'd raced down the mountain to get out of the way of the grizzly who wasn't stopping. He was coming after me. and he was determined, as grizzly bears can be, to have me as a meal. And, so in talking to the driver later and figuring out at what time I actually saw the grizzly, to what time I reached his tractor, we figured that I beat the half-mile record by a good 5 or 6 seconds. So two records in one afternoon, and believe me, when the adrenaline gets going, it's amazing how it pumps you. It's amazing that you can do all sorts of things which you wouldn't do ordinarily. And it was a grizzly that helped me achieve this marvelous record-breaking feat. And afterwards, I felt quite good about it, except, apart from the driver, there was nobody to confirm what I'd done. So I never, ever got a gold medal, a silver medal, or a bronze medal for breaking this record. All I got was a giggle from the driver, and perhaps a little self-satisfaction of knowing that I had been as speedy as I had, even though I was driven by a grizzly bear. And if you say, oh, well, was it a grizzly bear? Yeah, you can tell a grizzly. It's not only his size, but a grizzly, unlike any other bear, has a hump just behind his head. So it is easy to identify. Later on, I learned that black bears you can frighten off a little. The only time to worry about a black bear is if it's got its young with them. It is very protective of its cubs, or if it's ill, in which case it will pay no notice. But I later on managed to control black bears and brown bears with very little problem, bravely waving my hands. But this was my first experience in the wild with a wild animal who was ready to be feral. He wasn't going to take a polite young Englishman who said, I'm terribly sorry to disturb you. Seriously, he wanted me. A few days later, I was working around the camp when the foreman came and said, Keith, go with Joe over there, take this pump and take it up about 100 yards above the camp, because there is a spring there. And later somebody will come and they will attach the pump to the spring and we can have some fresh water. The pump, I don't know, is 80, 90, 100 pounds. It was heavy. Joe grabbed one side of it and I grabbed the other. We could just about manage it. And we went up to the spot designated by the foreman, found the spring, and as I was about to put down, or together we were about to put down this huge pump, I heard a rustle in the trees behind me, and I looked around, and here was this great big teddy bear face gazing through the greenery at me. Now, I suspect this was not a grizzly this time, but it was a brown bear, but I didn't know the difference at the time. And anyway, all I could see was its face, and it was a teddy bear face, and it was looking at me. We'd obviously disturbed the bear when he was looking for various bits of greenery and nuts and so on and so forth to solve his hunger problem, but I didn't know that. I yelled at Joe, "Bear!" and took off back to the camp. I didn't break any speed records, I don't think, but when I got back to the camp, I realized I left Joe well behind, but the pump was still in my hand. I'd carried what it took two of us, struggled two of us to take up to the spring. I'd brought back on my own because the adrenaline had flown and the fear factor had kicked in. He said I performed superhuman feats. Well, what an athletic summer that was. And I'm happy to say that as it did go on, I learned a bit more about the wildlife. And although I, to this day, would be very careful about meeting a bear in the wild, generally speaking, unless it's a grizzly, and don't mess with a grizzly, then what you would find is that the other bears are as shy of you as you are of them, and a little arm waving, and you can get rid of them. And actually, much later, many years later, I lived on a steelhead trout fishing river in North Vancouver. I had 3 acres and a beautiful house, and it was right at the base of the mountains. I had a Great Dane, which is a wonderful dog, very affectionate, but also very protective. I was fiddling around on the banks of the river one day, and once again I heard a rustle. Didn't pay too much attention. And then I looked up, and here was a huge black bear coming towards me. Well, I'd learned my lesson this time, hadn't I? I raced towards him, yelling, "Bear! Bear!" waving my arms and sort of, "Go away!" Actually, I wasn't as polite as that. But I was saying to him, "Push off." And at the same time, yelling to my wife, "Get the dog in, get the dog in," because my fear was that the Great Dane would come rushing out, would protect me. The bear would, with one swipe, break the dog's neck. Bears are terribly powerful animals. But instead, the bear took one look at me when he became aware of me waving my arms, put his nose in the air, sniffed, and sort of said, "You're not worth bothering with," and ambled back into the orchard and paid absolutely no attention. Luckily, my wife had kept the dog in, so both the dog and I were saved on that particular afternoon. But if you really want to be athletic, get yourself into a situation where a grizzly is coming at you, because believe me, the adrenaline will kick in. And if you can possibly record it on your camera, on your phone nowadays, while you're doing that, you can prove that you will beat world records. In my case, the half mile and the high jump, all in a space of a couple of minutes or so. Well, that was my first experience in a summer in Canada, and I had many more, and hopefully I'll get the opportunity to tell you about some of them. Till then, toodle bit.
So there we are, adventures overseas. Now it's 10:06, and outside it's 6 degrees. It's not climbing any faster today than it did yesterday, and we'll have to see where we're at, won't we? We will indeed. Okay. Let's just take another quick look to see what we've got cooking here. The big thing is that we've got sub folder of to gather stuff in, and for some reason the one subfolder does not like the other, and that's what we have to gets sorted out. I think that, oh dear. No, I think what we'll do is we'll do what we sensibly do. We'll take a 5-minute break, and we will be back with you for the last half hour of the day. And so we'll say a good and jolly and cheery to the pip. Oh dear. And we'll see you in just a few minutes' time. Yep.
Thank you.